Hello and welcome to Game Changers with Vicki Abelson. Our guest today is my friend Robert Wuhl. Yay, Robert.
I just lost your audio. I just lost your audio. And your picture. You just went out. It says I'm live for 23 seconds, but I can't see you anymore. I lost that half of the screen. What be happening? I should relink probably. I'm going to relink, as they say. Where does it say leave? Oh, no, there you are. Now you're back. Okay.
Okay, it booted me off. You were on that whole time?
Yes.
Were you talking to everybody?
No, I was talking to you, saying I couldn't see you, and I thought I was, I think it was as soon as you brought up the Facebook thing, I noticed that they cut you right out.
You know something? They did. They cut me.
It was pretty close to that. You know.
Wow. And you know what's really scary? Have you noticed that whenever you talk about anything, all of a sudden you get the ads on your phone and whatever for whatever you were talking about? Has that happened to you?
No, I haven't seen that.
Well, it's happened to me. And now it's not only if I'm talking about something, but if I'm reading about something, I get the ads. Are you on Facebook? You're on Facebook. Yeah. All right. Now you're going to just shake your head and not talk to me. Hi, Valerie. Hi, Phil. Hi, Laura. Okay. So we were talking about things we were going to save for on the, Robert, tell me, what's your COVID been like? What was the pandemic like for you, Barbara?
You know, I got to tell you, I didn't mind it all that much. I have my nice house, and I went back, and baseball finally got on, so that was good when that happened.
Yeah.
When I got, it's like, and it's, luckily I'm in Los Angeles, I have to say. If I'd been in New York, it would have been tougher because, right. I have help out here, so I can. It's not New York, so you're not enclosed. So right. that was pretty great.
Right.
I mean, I missed going to a movie. I missed, I miss theater. I miss restaurants. Although we don't go out that much here. I go much more in New York.
Okay. So what were you doing with food? Were you doing? Were you having groceries delivered? Were you going? Were you eating in?
I have an assistant who would bring the groceries and do the errands and stuff like that.
Right.
And the only time I ever really went to the market was a Starbucks on the weekends. Whenever I went to the market, I really didn't do that much. Plus I had 1,000 screeners for the Oscars, and it was amazing. I had 1,000 screeners, and I couldn't find 4 good movies.
Okay. The only thing that I've watched so far that I've loved was The Father, which.
Yeah, I'm sure it's great, but I went through that with Barb's mom, Barb's dad, who died of Alzheimer's, and her mom has got dementia. So I don't have to.
My father passed from Alzheimer's, but what was fascinating about it for me was that it was his view, which I've never seen done before, and that was pretty fascinating.
You ever see a movie talk about his view? Did you ever see a movie called The Diving Bell and the Butterfly? It was directed by Julian Schnabel, the artist.
Wasn't he your college roommate?
Yeah. Well, freshman year, yes. But it's about a guy French guy who has what's known as locked-in syndrome, where you cannot move. Your brain's perfectly fine. So the only thing you do is you can blink through his eye and communicate. And it's told from his point of view.
I did see that movie.
Oh, it's a great movie. I mean, Julian was nominated for the Oscar, and he actually won. He won the Director's Award at Cannes that year for that movie.
Wow.
He's a good filmmaker. He did Basquiat. Julian's a good filmmaker.
Absolutely.
Never once cast me. Not once the same. Fuck him. Fuck him.
Well, you certainly had a lot of charm in that area, and we'll talk about all. So getting back to COVID, so were you having like restaurant food delivered? Were you cooking?
I would get restaurant. We got a lot of times restaurant food. Yes. And I also started cooking. I became very good buddies with Jacques Pepin, and on the videos.
Yes.
So Yeah. So
Are you you're a gourmand when you cook as well?
No.
No.
I know how to make chicken thighs and some fish, and I'm diabetic, so and plus I have high triglycerides, so I eat a lot of fish. I eat more fish than other fish. You got booted again.
This is crazy what's going on. I have a great
I know what it is. The fish were listening.
I have a baked salmon recipe.
They knew what we were talking about. And they have their own group. It's the Fin2 movement. The Fin2. And they heard us making a joke about fish. And of course, you can't make a joke about fish. That's politically incorrect. So they can't. I'm part of the cancel culture now in the fish world.
Meanwhile, I have a retina. I have a macular issue, so I'm supposed to eat fish at least 3 times a week and spinach 5 times a week, and it's like cures all ills. But I have a great baked salmon recipe for you. That's easy and fantastic. Slow baked. It's fabulous. Okay, so you were bringing in stuff. You didn't mind it that much. Were you productive? Were you writing?
Not exceptionally. I mean, yeah, but I enjoyed each day. I binge watched a bunch of shows.
What did you love?
I had never seen The West Wing, and because I was doing the HBO series during that time, and it was so good. But the first, I would say, what did I do? 6, 7 seasons. The first 3 years, maybe it was 3 or 4 years, where Sorkin's in charge.
Yep.
It's phenomenal.
I'm watching
they got a traditional season. The last 2 seasons are good.
I stopped at the end of the 3rd season. I have to go back into it and watch the rest because I knew Rob Lowe was leaving Sorkin. Everybody,
maybe it's the 4th season. It's a transition season. The showrunner left. They had to find a different point of view a little bit, and it got better. But it's a good. It was just I like seeing something smart. It was smart and it was so well done. To me as a writer, as somebody like Sorkin is inspiring.
Oh God, I know. Are you watching The Handmaid's Tale?
No.
All right, I got it. It's smart and brilliant. I'm just saying, it's really fabulous. It's incredible TV. It really is.
Yeah. Okay.
What else did you like? What new did you binge?
Barbara's last, and you know what I'm hooked on, which I love watching, and it's just on a different level of entertainment value. I've been binge watching Blue Bloods. Do you know?
What is that?
Blue Bloods is a show on CBS. It's in its 11th year.
What? And I've never even heard of it?
With Tom Selleck. And it's about a New York generational family of cops in New York. And Selleck is the police commissioner. He is the son of Len Cariou, who's also the former earlier police commissioner. His daughter is an assistant district attorney, and he's got a young son. He's lost one son. One son got killed, and he's got a young son who after graduating Harvard, when his brother got killed in the line of duty, he became a cop. So I like it. It's got a New York attitude, and it's a TV show, but sometimes they get into interesting political, social things, which I find interesting.
Cool. And I know you did a little bit of work because I know you did something with Don Most, our friend Don Most. Mm-hmm. What was that about? What was that?
Don and I had done a couple of years ago. We had done the Sunshine Boys together in Pinehurst, North Carolina.
And what was that like?
Well, the work experience great. Working with Don was great. That was really fun and everything. The experience was interesting because I was there with my wife Barbara, and Barbara is an hippie chick who marched on Washington, and she grew up in the Berkshires, and and she's Katharine Hepburn liberal, and I grew up in suburbia New Jersey, and I went to school in Texas, so I knew the South a little bit. She did not.
Right.
So now there's a couple of things that I have to say, there is a stereotype of Southern hospitality and manners, which is 100% true.
Really?
Oh, they're great. The manners and the hospitality, they really, that's true. That part's true. It was interesting because we had our dogs with us then. And so Barbara would go out. We were staying in this hotel, one of these like Residence Inn type of places. And, and they had a bar and they had a patio outside. And so Barbara would, and it was very safe. So Barbara would walk the dogs. My wife is a vampire. She doesn't go to bed. She doesn't go to bed till 5 in the morning. That's true. She doesn't get up till 5 in the afternoon. But that's God's honest truth. So, but she's up all night. She's on her HG shows, Love It or List It, and everything that's murder porn, any kind of that documentary, Dateline or ID, Discovery ID. She's on every one of them. And she has, I kid you not, on our DVR, there are 150 taped episodes of Law and Order SVU, whatever, SUV, SVU.
Wow.
It's like, whoosh. So, but she would go out and walk the dogs at like 1 o'clock in the morning in the back of this hotel courtyard. And there'd be a bunch of guys, who were staying at the hotel or locals who were out there, and they had their bottles of bourbon right there, each one had a different bottle. So Barbara's walking, she's talking with them. They're asking about the dog, and she's having a great time. And then she says, Robert. And then I look over to my right, and on the table were all these rifles, all these guns. And she goes, and she never seen anything like this before. So she was like flipped out. And she comes with Robert. Because all these guns were there. And they were there because, they had guns. Right. And she said, by the way, they were beautiful to look at. They were beautiful things to look, but it just shook her up. It suddenly, there were guns.
Wow.
So that experience was fun. And Donnie and his wife, we had a great time. We'd go out to dinner together. So Donnie asked me to do a thing called viral videos, I think they're called. And the two-hander guy would write plays. They would have people writing short plays for two-handers and two-man cast. And Donnie and I did one called Old Friends, and we did, I think, the first one. And we had, it only lasted about 20 minutes. But if you look them up, I think they're viral videos. I hope that's right. Old Friends. Well, look up Donnie Most and me.
I'll find it. I'll find it and I'll put the link.
Yeah, really nice.
How was it doing the Sunshine Boys there?
Oh, well, okay, that's another story. Again, you're in the South. You're in North Carolina. Now, Pinehurst, of course, is well known because of the golf course. Pinehurst, they hold PGA tournaments there. It's a golf mecca, Pinehurst, North Carolina. But you are also in a very, this is where the evangelicals are, and there's a very religious base there. And so we were doing the Sunshine Boys, and the producer said, this is the first, we haven't done a Neil Simon play in about 5 or 8 years, I think. I said, why not? I would think your audience would love it. He goes, yeah, but the last one I did was Plaza Suite. And in Plaza Suite, which is a 3-act play, 3 stories, one of the stories is about a husband who's having an adulterous affair. And they didn't think, they walked out of that.
Come on.
No, that's.
Wow.
Yeah. So he had to tread lightly. He really did. I felt for the guy.
Wow.
But I had a great time doing it. I would love. Don and I talked about doing it again. I'd like to do that again.
We were talking about it before. How do you learn all those lines and do everything for such a short run? You said it was a short run, right?
We only did, I think, 5 performances or something like that. How do you learn all those lines? Well, that's your job.
Are you okay? So now, as we age slightly, Robert, is that a tougher thing to do? Do you not have trouble doing that?
That's a great question. What was the question? It's a great question. Now, is it harder? Well, not with Neil Simon. I have to say, if it was somebody else, perhaps, because the memory, but that's more short-term memory. With Neil Simon, I grew up on him,
right?
And his jokes, his rhythms, his phrases, are almost second nature to me because they're mine also a lot. So, so with Neil Simon, but outside of other people, learning lines, I haven't had that much problem so far.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, I know a lot of big actors who can't act anymore because, especially, some of them wear earpieces with
right
coming, but that is a, that's a shit part of getting older.
Do you have a system do you have, other than doing it over and over, do you have a system for learning lines?
Well, that's one of them. There's also a great app called Rehearsal Pro, which is very good because you talk into it and then you can hear it over and over again. That's very good. I also have sometimes, and I've always done this. It's hard to do with a complete play because it's just too much. I like to put it through my computer. I type in, I write the script into my computer. So as I'm writing it, I'm saying, oh, okay. So
wow.
Yeah. So
I think that has a lot to do with it sticking, writing it down. I believe that. That makes sense.
Yeah, I mean it helps me, so it helped them. So, but that's, but again, it's Neil Simon. Neil Simon, I'm not doing Shakespeare. When I don't mean when I say Shakespeare, you're dealing with language that nobody uses anymore. It's iambic pentameter, and who knows? I mean, with Neil Simon, like I said, I grew up with Neil Simon.
Right. So when the pandemic hit, were you in the middle of anything? Did anything get aborted? What happened?
Well, it was funny because the day before they shut everything down, my goddaughter and I, we were in Phoenix for spring training. We go to spring training every year. So now she's grown up, so she's working. So, but now we're going to go to 2 baseball games together. We've always gone to baseball games together. So we flew back right afterwards, and the next day everything was shut down. It was about 2 days later. We go, they shut down baseball the next day, and then I think they shut down everything within a week, right?
Pretty much. So, and did you? I haven't been able to write. Were you able to write? Did you write during the pandemic?
Some. Mostly mostly memories, mostly stuff like that. Where I was writing the stories of my, that I went through, people I met, just jotting down all the stories that I know. I
love this. So is there a memoir in the works?
Memoir. Somebody wants to buy my book, fine. I need a memoir. I mean, because I have been fortunate and I have great stories. I really
You have the best stories.
So I've been really fortunate. So I've been putting them down. So I think I have to get in, and so you might as well.
Sounds like a good idea to me. So speaking of the story, so I was telling you before the show that a lot of the people that watch now are new to Game Changers since COVID. The COVID crazies found me, and so a lot of these people don't know your story, Robert. So I'm gonna ask you things that we've talked about maybe before, but you do have great stories, and I want to go there again. So I remember you saying that you were not the class clown; you were the you were clever. Clever, was that the word you used?
Wit, the class wit.
The class wit.
Yes.
Okay. So you're a little kid. You're growing up in New Jersey. Did you say?
You're in New Jersey.
Okay, in New Jersey, and when are you doing class? Are you doing the school plays? I mean, what are you doing when you're a kid?
Some of that. You generally didn't. I did some of the plays. What's interesting is they didn't cast me, and then about what happened. I remember in my junior or senior year, I think my junior year of high school.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, they came to me and asked, "Look, can you come up with the class show? We need to have it in like 3 days." And I said, "Yeah." So we did like a faux Johnny Carson show. Oh, listen to this. So we're doing a faux Johnny Carson show, and it was fun because we had all the bits with the Carson.
They know you can do this because you're funny. That's why they.
Yeah, we prepared. I wrote the damn thing, you know, and I had a guy who was a good guy who was the Ed McMahon, and two things happened. One was they built a set, but I didn't realize the set was on a platform. So when I sat down at the chair, I leaned back. I flew head over heels off the set. Well, what a big laugh that got, you know? I mean, everybody remembered that. But the other thing that happened was, you remember, and I'm here, we're going to date ourselves now.
Okay.
For years, Johnny Carson, I would say, this is the 60s, would have a guest called Monty Rock III. Do you remember Monty Rock III? He was very flamboyant back then. That was a term.
Yes, right.
So we had somebody be Monty Rock III, and he was, you know, very flamboyant and everything, and very. I get pulled between shows. We had to do 2 shows. And it went over real well. And between shows, the vice principal of the school pulls me over and says, "You're lucky I don't suspend your." He goes, "How dare you refer to homosexuality in the school?" It's like, who the fuck knows homosexuality? I mean, it's like, I'm 16. I'm not thinking, back then you're not thinking. It's like he's flamboyant. It's you know, maybe he's what my mother would refer to as a fagula. You know, that's what he, right? So, but the guys wanted to throw me out of school for this.
Oh, God.
And fortunately, my mother saw the show, and she's hysterical. And so, you know, so we had to cut the Monty Rock III out of the second show. But I remember that, and that Jack Garrabrand. Hey, if you're still alive, fuck you. I'm sure you're not. You know, I'm sure you're not alive. Fuck you. You are such an asshole. I'm sorry.
So that was your first time being censored?
Well, it was the first time. Yeah, I guess maybe so. You know, I hadn't done much before junior class.
Okay, so you write this thing. You write this, and I seem to recall you wrote other stuff. Did you write plays back then? Did you write plays in school?
No, I wrote a play later. I wrote in the college, and then a couple of years ago. No. Then I go off to college. You know, I was not a good student. I was not a good student. I just didn't give a shit more than anything else. I was the classic. He doesn't apply himself, because I didn't care. I knew what I wanted to do at a young age. A story.
Okay, how did that happen, Robert? What sparked you? Do you remember?
Well, I love movies. I love storytelling. My dad was a great storyteller. Love storytelling. Love the movie page in the. My mom said I taught myself to read by reading the movie page, the entertainment sections, because they were colorful and pictures. They had movie stars on them. Right. So I knew what I wanted. So to me, anything that didn't really lend itself to that, that's why I like history, because history's got stories. Math doesn't have stories. You know, math doesn't have stories.
That must be it.
You know, that kind of stuff. But history's got stories. So that was my English has stories in a different way. Yeah, but in English, that's it. It's English and it's history. I didn't give a damn about anything else. So, in fact, the only reason I there was a war going on, so I was going to college. Were
you part of that whole, did you have a number in the draft and all of that thing?
Yeah.
What was your number?
302.
Lucky you. Wow.
Yeah, well, here's the thing is I wasn't eligible the first year. I was too young. Mm-hmm. And my birthday is 342. And I'm going, you know, it's like shit. So the next year, now I'm eligible.
Right.
302. So, you know, so then once I got that, then I really don't care about school. I don't care about class. I love school. I hated class. So I went to Houston and crammed 4 years into 7. I was there 7 years, and I still haven't graduated. Although they gave me a Distinguished Alumni Award.
Nice. 7 years and you didn't. Robert, how were your parents through all of this?
Oh, okay. Well, the first 4 years. Now, at the same time, I started getting involved with the athletic department, and I was writing for local comedians. I mean, local like, talk show, radio hosts, guys who ran this, and then they had a show restaurant. So I wound up supporting myself, for probably the last 3 years. Plus, I got to become a Texas citizen, and resident.
Oh, resident, right? I did that in Arizona. Yeah.
And tuition was like back then.
Like
$100 a semester,
right?
In residence. Now I had to pay for my room and board and everything, but
right.
So it wasn't so. And I love school. I mean, I love class. I had great friends to this day, great friends, and I just didn't like class too much, with the exception of the drama department, sports department. Oh, so yeah, who I am. Yeah.
So I know you love sports. Were you athletic? Did you participate?
I was an okay athlete. I wasn't a college quality, varsity athlete. No, I was just a good, intramural player. Baseball, basically baseball, softball and baseball, and football, and some flag football. Yeah, but no, I wasn't that.
You played street hoops. Everybody I grew up with played.
I wasn't that good a basketball player. We had teams, we're in the dorms, so but I wasn't. Basketball was not my strength.
Okay, so did you have jobs when you were in college? Did you do that to make money? What did you? So you were making all your money from writing jokes, or? No.
Now I worked for the intramural department at the school, so they paid me some money there, and I get the job at Astro World in the part of the medicine show until Six Flags buys it, and the first thing they do is fire us. And then I got a job at this English show restaurant called 1520 AD, which was like a Henry VIII and his wenches type of restaurant. And that actually, I made some money. So yeah. And then finally it was time to, let's get the show on the road here. And I got, and seeing, it was also just when it was the beginning of Saturday Night Live.
Okay. So that was
the whole comics, with Freddie Prinz and Robert Klein. Well, it was after Klein, but it was Freddie Prinz and David Brenner. It was ahead of me, and that wave, and Gabe Kaplan, and that people. And so I thought maybe I should start doing that and write myself an act, and then as a showpiece, of course I know who's going to cast me as an actor, but as a showpiece I could do that, and that's pretty much what happened. And
so, how did you? So are you self-taught? How did you it's stand up? How did you construct your act?
Well, your influences conduct your act. Back then, the biggest influences I had. Well, again, I said Neil Simon, but my influences were a lot. The performing side was from the actors in the movies, and it depends on which character it was. Right. As far as writing, it was Neil Simon, and of course the two biggest. It's strange, but these were two big guys for me. Of course, Woody Allen and Rodney Dangerfield. And the first thing, I'm not doing stand up a month, and I knock on Rodney's door, and I sell him some jokes.
Wow.
And it's funny because I turned on YouTube, and so they know what you're watching on YouTube. And they had Rodney Dangerfield's old Carson routines. And I hit on one, and as I'm watching, I said, "Oh my God, this is the first time I wrote for Rodney." And I heard, the joke, my joke, and the thing was, it was great. And that was the first time my parents stayed up to watch it, So, and this is about 1978.
Oh my God.
And what's interesting is that joke that I wrote, and about half his act, could not be done today.
Do you remember the joke?
Yep. No, I can't, because it's politically incorrect today. Yeah. Just like my wife is so fat, she get on a scale, a car came out and said, "One at a time." Well, his wife, you can't, you can't do my wife is so fat jokes, which is part of his act.
Right. Oh my God.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's the cancel culture problem right now.
Yeah. So, okay, so you're selling jokes, you're doing stand-up.
Right. I become a regular at the Improv. I get better and better. I'm writing it. Stiller and Mira gave me a job. They had this 5-minute show, 5 minutes on local NBC, WNBC. It was interstitial programming. I think between 4:55 and 5 o'clock. And they had these 5-minute sketches. And I sold one of them. So Rodney and them gave me my first jobs. And then I did stand-up, and I became pretty decent stand-up comic. I mean, my class was, it was Larry David, it was Jerry, it was Paul Reiser, it was, who else am I leaving out? Gilbert. I mean, these are good people.
Yes, absolutely.
Right, and I became like the go-to guy at the Improv for Chris Albrecht. So and then somebody came and saw me, and he was doing the pilot for the Tony Tennille show, and he flew me out to California to perform and to write on the show. And then I pretty much stayed out here after that. I got, and then, that's how I got to start.
How did you segue from television to movies?
That was a gift. It's not segueing from that. I did a 5-minute stand-up piece. I mean, like I was an actor on something, and then suddenly, I got to make the next step. I was hired to do 5 minutes on a show. How did I make it? Somebody saw me in an audience. I was at the Comedy Store, and a director saw me for a movie called The Hollywood Knights, and she brought me in to meet with the director, and it was an improv pretty much, and I got the gig.
You didn't improv Volare, did you?
Yes.
You did. Wow.
Now, let me clarify that. In the script, the character Newbomb Turk, his talent was he could fart the song Shaboom. And I went to the director and I said, how do you do this? And he goes, life is but a dream, shaboom, if I could be with you. Well, I said, but you can't, a fart isn't going to be, it's got to fill a void. I mean, so I said, I don't get how, can we change the song? And I go, let me do Volare, because there's a pause after Volare. Whoa, right? Whoa. I said, so you can do that. And he went, and God bless him, he went with it,
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's something to be proud of, huh?
So it is. Okay, so wait, we started to say, so what are your parents thinking about this?
Well, my dad had passed. My dad died about April 21st, 1977. So when did he died? When I was in college, my roommate and I, we would watch the $10,000. There was $10,000 pyramid all the time back then.
Right.
And I said, like Jeopardy, And I said, if I go back to New York, I don't want to be a contestant on this show. He would say, yeah. So I went on, and I did win, and so I won the pyramid. And so the day it was aired was my mother's birthday, and my father and mother were vacationing at the Safety Harbor Spa in Safety Harbor, Florida. And he bought, he knew I was going to be on TV winning the pyramid. So he bought champagne for everybody who was at the spa. And then he dies in his sleep that night. So, yeah. Well, my dad was sick. I mean, my dad had heart disease and diabetes, so it wasn't like, but he was very young. He was 53.
Wow.
Yeah.
But he got to see you win the pyramid.
He got to see me win the pyramid. That's right. That's what much start. Whereas my mother, after she sees Hollywood Nights, she goes to the premiere in New York, and she comes back. She's, I've never been so embarrassed in my life. It's like, I mean, she hated the movie so much, and her son was up there with his mooning and having his farting away. Oh, did she hate it? Did she hate it?
Oh my God! But had she seen you do stand up? Did she like that?
Yeah.
And so, when did you win her over? What role did you have?
I was his son.
No, but I mean, when did you do a role that she goes, that's my son?
She dies not that long after that, too. But I was doing, I was making a living.
Yeah.
Well, I was making a living, and I was making a living as a comedian, and I had, I'd written Police Squad. She was around for Police Squad, although that's not her show either.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, they got to see very little of my work at all. Very little. It's way before anything happens, really.
Were they supportive of you
Yes.
following that path?
Yes, my mother was very supportive. My father couldn't figure it out because we had a family business.
What was the family business?
It's a fruit distributors, produce, still around. It's a successful business.
Wow.
And it started with his grandfather. That's right. His grandfather, the father, yeah, something like that. And he knew I wanted no part of that. So my mother, they made me go to the American Bartender Academy just to have something to fall back on. And I remember doing that, getting 100 on the test and never working a day in my life. I was a bartender. I got to work as a comic and earn a living, paying rent and keeping myself alive. So she was, okay, yeah, she was, I'm sure. But my dad knew that you could make a lot of money in show business. He knew that. And my mother just would, because I would drive into, I live in New Jersey, so I was living in my parents' home then, and I would drive in every night, Monday through Sunday, probably 7 nights a week, to perform at the Improv at, 12 o'clock at 12 midnight before like 10 people.
Right.
And first going in there at about 10:30 at night, and they couldn't figure for nothing because you didn't get paid. So, but they were. My mom was very supportive. That's my parents were supportive. That was great. But I did okay from I just started, and here I am. The pyramids. That's not good. That had nothing to do with it. But I was writing for Rodney Dangerfield, and they saw my stuff on TV, and so wow, that was quick. I'm not even 6 months out of college.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
that is amazing. So Hollywood Nights. So did Hollywood Nights change your life?
Not really. No, actually, no. I didn't work again for quite a while. It gave me a credit, and credits give you credibility. But I didn't work for a couple of years. And then I wrote the Zucker brothers. I had auditioned for Airplane. And the Zucker brothers came and saw me, and they liked what they saw, so they hired me to be a writer on Police Squad, which was great. I owe them a lot. That was a great opportunity. Learned a lot. Learned a whole lot. And
had you studied screenwriting or something like that, Robert?
What's that?
Had you studied screenwriting, or did you just dive in there?
Pretty much dove in and read, books. No, I had. Well, here's what I did do. I had read a couple of books by William Goldman, who's an all-time great screenwriter, and so I knew the form a little bit. But you learn, and I had worked in theater and good plays, so it's not that much different. So that worked, but then I'm not working for a while, and I get a call a couple of years later that this guy is doing a movie. We shared an agent, and one of their clients, a director, is looking for somebody to improvise 2 weeks worth of comedy in this movie he's doing. And so I meet with him, and it turns out when I was doing Hollywood Nights, the same company that was producing Hollywood Nights was producing a movie called Foxes with Jodie Foster at the same time, and he directed that movie. However, and I started telling stories about the owners of the company that I knew, and and he went through the same stuff with the company. So we hit it off, and he hires me for 2 weeks. So I'm doing this movie for 2 weeks, and they never shoot me. I never do anything.
What?
I'm sitting in a bar, all guy bar, and I'm sitting there, and the chef wants to be a comedian, and he's trying to throw jokes out. And he says something about the Steelers, and I yell out, just as a reaction shot, went, "Go Steelers!" Thank God that line's in the movie. And I'll tell you why. I'm going somewhere with this. And this movie, and there's nothing there. There's girls on stage, doing their thing. There's the cook comic. There's water splashing everywhere. And the one thing is, I knew now. I left out a piece here. After I did Police Squad, I was hired by Paramount to be one of their staff writers for features. They started to put together an old-fashioned writer's wing. So I was one of them. And my office was right above Simpson and Bruckheimer's office. And you could hear the screams. I could hear them all the time. But I knew them. And they were producing this movie. And I'm not telling tales, but because I knew Don Simpson, who was doing massive amounts of blow, but he doesn't want to do it, it's his picture on the set. So he did it in my dressing room because he knew me. So I would go out, he'd come in. So, I didn't give a shit. But anyway, so this movie is going on. And I shoot this movie in 2 weeks. I do my 2 weeks, not one line except for "Go Steelers," which is ad-libbed, of course. And I forget about this, And about 8 months later, somebody says, "Hey, whatever happened to that movie?" I go, "This movie's not coming. I don't know what the fuck this movie's about." And then suddenly, I start seeing ads for this movie about this girl who wants to be a dancer. I go, "Hey, that's the movie." And it's Flashdance.
No, stop!
It's like, so because
Michael Nouri. Okay.
I sat behind Michael Nouri. Every time there's a shot of him, you see me sitting right behind him. That was where I sat. I have one ad-lib line go. Now, thank God they kept that line in, because when you get residuals for a movie, the movie's residuals is based a lot upon how much money the movie makes. Also, if you get cut out of the movie, you don't get if you don't have a speaking part, you don't get residuals.
You get residuals one line?
One line. Go Steelers. Go Steelers. I'm sure. Go Steelers. Just making me a lot of money. So
what did they think they wanted you for?
I have no idea. They wanted me to ad-lib, I guess, some comedy in the bar or something like that, because I'm only in the bar with all guys, and we'd watch this girl get danced and thrown water on constantly. What the fuck is this movie? It's like, so, and they don't have the music back then, of course. So,
that's hysterical. Yeah. Okay, so that made you some money. You getting some residual checks?
Well, I got a credit. I got a credit. I mean, they made a movie with the residuals, but I didn't make any money in the movie.
Okay, so
and then a couple of things happened. I got lucky. And by the way, I'm touring all around the country as a stand-up comic. I mean, I'm on Merv Griffin's show all the time, and I'm on the Tonight Show.
So you're making some good money there as a comic, right?
Yeah, I'm doing okay. So, and then a couple of things happen. Again, a director named Mary Lambert, who directed videos, comes in and sees me and says, hires me to be a yes man in this. She's going to do a video, and before the actual song begins, there's going to be a part of a movie mogul, a Howard Hughes-esque movie mogul, played by Keith Carradine, who was watching this girl on a black and white screening room, and they hired me, and I said, okay, great, I'll be a yes man. So I played his yes man, and he's saying, I like this girl. I go, yo, yeah, she's great. She really got something. I'm telling you, she's going to be a star. And he said, and he goes, and I want to meet her. And then suddenly, and you are living in a material world, and I.
Wow.
If you know the video, it starts out in a screening room with Keith Carradine and his yes man. So that got some exposure. That was good. And then I get the first real break is Barry Levinson had liked my work a lot, and he had tried to, because I'd read for Diner and some other stuff, and that when he's casting Good Morning Vietnam, he puts me in that, and that's when you that helps a lot, and then right after that is Bull Durham, and that really helps a lot.
Okay, so wait, let's go back to talking about Good Morning Vietnam for a minute and working with Robin Williams and Barry Levinson. Have you watched the Kaminsky Method, by the way?
I watched the first season. I haven't seen I haven't seen the new season. Is Barry in it?
Yes. Spoiler alert, but yes, he has a moment, and more than a moment, and yeah, that's good. And your friend Paul Reiser is a huge part of the last season because Alan Arkin didn't do the last season because of COVID. Yes. So yeah, but anyway, so working with Robin, and were you friends with Robin from stand up? Because I know it's East West Coast, and it's.
I've known Robin since before Mork and Mindy. Before Mork and Mindy went on the air, he had done some stuff, but you'd have heard the stories. If you're in a comedy scene, you kept hearing stories about this guy, comic from San Francisco, who would blow away rooms at 3:00 in the morning, and he was all so. And then when he finally came to New York with his managers and everything, he got to see it. So we became friendly. Yeah, I've known Robin since she, again, about the same time, 78.
Mm-hmm. Was he a different on set doing this movie? Is that a different Robin Williams than the guy who's in the clubs doing stand-up?
Of course.
Mm-hmm.
Of course. I mean, Robbins wasn't on. Now he can go on in a split second. I mean, anything he can go on in a second. But when he's not, you ask him, he's like anybody else. He was one of the kindest. Robin. I remember him. It's just funny. I remember more Robin the human being than comedian. I just one of the great human beings I've ever met, helping people out. You got to remember, like I said, I told you, 78, 79, 80. Well, if you're a San Francisco comic in the early 80s, about 30% of your colleagues are getting wiped out by AIDS. So Robin, I knew a couple of comics who Robin was keeping alive, paying under the table. Nobody knew about it. I knew about it. But Robin was special. Robin was super special.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'll get you off. I'm sorry. I took you to maudlin land. So, okay. So Bill Durham. So I seem to recall.
Bull, not Bill. His name's not Bill. It's Bull.
Oh God, did I say Bill? I did say Bill. I know Bull, and I've seen it a million times. So I seem to recall you saying that Tim Robbins was it Tim Robbins that was not the original choice for that role? That was not going to happen.
Studio didn't want Tim Robbins. Studio wanted Anthony Michael Hall.
And that's crazy. So why didn't Anthony Michael Hall do it?
Because, truth be told, he was pretty stupid. What he did was he was. Now, this is the true story here. Ron Shelton, the director, writer-director, flies. Anthony Michael Hall's hot, I guess hot at that time, obviously. So they want him for the movie. And so Ron Shelton flies across the country from Los Angeles to New York to meet with him to talk about the script. So Ron, they're going to meet, I think, at the Columbus Cafe. So Ron meets with Anthony Michael Hall, who shows up, whatever, late, half hour late. And so Ron says, okay, let's talk about the script. He goes, well, I've only got about 30 pages into it, but I've got some ideas. And Ron, he says, well, why don't you finish the script and then we'll talk about it. Yeah, remember, Ron's an ex-ball player. He ain't going to put up with the shit. So he calls his agent and says, your fucking client, I flew across the country. I'm leaving here tomorrow. They go, Ron, please stay one more day. I promise you. I'll read the script tomorrow, but we'll have a meeting. He goes, okay. So he goes back the next day, and I think the guy's late, probably less late than one time. And he goes, so what do you think? Let's talk about it. He goes, well, I'm only about 60 pages into it. And it's like, the hell with this guy. So then I don't know how Tim got cast, but he got cast. And you got to remember too, Tim is coming off one of the great Hollywood bombs. I mean, there's certain movies, I've been in a few, that people look at as embarrassments. And how he was the lead of Howard the Duck. And Howard the Duck, which was a George Lucas film.
What? Was it really? Wow.
And it was a notorious bomb. And Tim's coming off of that. Now, Kevin, of course, is the hottest star in Hollywood. He's just on No Way Out and The Untouchables. So, and then Susan was in it. And they didn't want Susan either.
Oh, do you know who they wanted? That's crazy.
Somebody younger.
Was it not?
Susan was really smart. Susan
was not into the script that her character was older than the ball, but they wanted younger, older.
Bingo. What happened was Susan was living in Italy. She just had a daughter there. She was living there with this guy. And she read the script. Mm-hmm. She realized that this part is a career-changing part. Annie Savoy. On her own dime, and this does not happen in Hollywood ever, on her own dime, she flies to Los Angeles. And they don't want to even meet with her. Not Ron, the studio heads.
Right.
And so she gets put into this red dress, this tight-fitting red dress, Ron tells me, and she decides to walk into the Orion offices. And she was sticking her head in and say, "Excuse me." She goes, "Hey, nice to see you." I go, I'm lost here. Can you tell me where?" And then the guys all saw her there, and they go, well, the executive said, "What if we put Susan Sarandon on this list?" That's true.
Wow, she's smart.
Susan's a smart. Yeah.
That is so smart.
Yeah.
But did you know when that movie was being made, did you have a sense that it would be what it became?
No, we had a sense we're making a good movie. We had a sense we're telling a really good story, and the prose and the script is really good. Now you got to remember, baseball movies up to this point had notoriously not done well at the box office.
Is that before There's No Crying in Baseball? Is that before?
Oh yeah. No, this is the first one. This is before Major League. This is before. It's after The Natural. But that was Robert Redford. That was a whole different story.
Right.
But it's before all the other baseball movies. So it hadn't, it had done well. And I remember the first time I saw it at screening, and it was really good. It was really good. And then Ron let me, play. And Ron let me. Now here's another story. I probably told you this time. So before we start shooting, a friend of mine's getting married, one of my college classmates, Barbara Parrott. And so I asked Barbara, what do we get Barbara for a wedding present? And she says, candlesticks always make a nice gift, or find out where she's registered and get her a silverware pattern or something. I go, good idea. Now, about 2 weeks later, we're shooting this scene, and the way movies are, all the action's out on the field, so all the cameras are turned that way. Well,
right.
I'm coming from the dugout, so the cameras are turned now this way. So you're shooting that last, and it's cold there. If you see, you'll see breath. You'll see our breath. And so the way the line is scripted is there's this meeting on the mound, and everybody's there, and Costner goes, "What the hell's going on here?" And No, I was supposed to run out there, right? I run out there and say, "What the hell's going on here?" And Costner says, "Well, Nucla Lucia's father is in the stands. We've got the first baseman's girlfriend has put a curse on the glove, and we don't know what to get Millie and Jimmy for a wedding present. We're dealing with a lot of shit here." And the line is written was, "Oh, I thought there was a problem." Okay, and that was it. And we shot it that way, totally shot it that way. Now,
right.
Ron, to my everlasting love, and said, "Okay, Robert, you've been sitting in the dugout all night. I'm sure you got something you want to say here. One take, put 2 cameras on it. Let's get coverage." And so they set it up. What the hell's going on here? And Costner goes into, Nuke's dad is in the audience. The first baseman's girlfriend has put a curse on his glove, and we don't know what to get Millie and Jimmy for a wedding present. We're dealing with a lot of shit here. And I just said, "Well, Candlesticks always make a nice gift, or find out where she's registered and get her a silverware pattern. Okay, let's get 2. And that's baseball stuff. So I knew I'd get it. Okay, so let me go next bit. Every night after the next day, you'd show dailies. We were on location, so everybody would gather around at night after shooting to watch the previous day's work. And adult beverages and smoke and everything else was there.
Right.
So they show the dailies, and again, because I was the last shot in the show in order that you shoot. Because I was the last shot, most of the people had never seen what happened. So they show the scene, and the last one is me saying this thing, and the place explodes in laughter. Now, I thought, okay, that's funny, but this is never making it into the movie, because I don't know too many writer-directors who would say, yeah, it's funny, yeah, it's in character, but I didn't write it, and it's not going to be in the movie. I know a lot. 95% would do that.
Right.
So then I'm at the first, test screening or a screening, and it's in there. And I'm shocked, and it gets a huge laugh. Now, here's the final check. The studio wants the entire scene cut out of the movie. They want the entire meeting on the mound scene cut out of the movie. And their argument to Ron was, it doesn't push the plot. And Ron, to his credit, says, what plot? There is no plot in this movie. There is no plot in this movie. It's about this journey. There's no plot. And the only reason that line is in the movie is because at every test screening, that scene, they ask you to rank your favorite scenes in the movie. It was always 1 or 2, always. So they could. So Ron said, no, look at this. You're crazy. And that's the reason it stayed in. The only reason.
Wow. Did people quote that line back to you?
Oh, yeah. But you know what else is great? What happened because of it? I never have to think about what I ever got to give somebody for a wedding present. I never think of that at all. It takes that's one decision I've already put in the back pocket.
Wow. So you've given candlesticks for the last gazillion years.
And what happened? We're only got a couple of minutes to go, right? Right. That's it. So, but what happened is, I had seen the movie and I thought this is really good. And what happened is the late, great, wonderful woman I owe my life to, Marion Dougherty, who was the grand doyen of casting directors in our business. She started the casting director business. There's a great documentary called Casting By, and it's about Marion Dougherty mostly. And she started everybody. She gave Robert Duvall and Dustin Hoffman their first parts. She started casting like not Playhouse 90, but like all those things like M Squad and all those shows in New York. And she was a fan of mine. And she brought me in to meet with Tim Burton for the reporter in Batman. And I read, and I thought it went okay. And I invited Tim to see a screening of Bull Durham. And he went, and I don't know if that sealed the deal, but so he hired me.
We're going to talk about Batman, but somebody asked about Blaze and working with Paul Newman.
Yeah, I only had the one scene, and my scene wasn't with Paul. However, I came down from after the Batman at the premiere. I went directly from the premiere down to Louisiana because they were doing, I think, 2 weeks of rehearsals and everything and read-throughs. So Ron and I got to meet Paul, and Ron and I had dinner at Paul's house. He cooked chili, Newman's own chili, cooked by Newman's own.
Oh my God! Yeah,
he had nice guy. He had told the worst jokes of anybody you ever saw in your life. He had frat boy humor a little bit. His idea of a practical joke would be to, like, the guy gets a new car and he would pile in fill it up with horse manure. That's frat boy stuff. That was Paul's idea of a joke. His favorite joke. This is his favorite joke. He said, 3 guys are sitting on a bench, 3 old timers. What's the greatest invention of all time? First guy says, I don't know. I reckon got to be the telephone. He goes, how about the telephone? Well, you can call people all over the world. You can pick them up. And that's pretty great. Pretty great. The telephone. Next guy says, no, it's got to be the airplane. He goes, the airplane, yeah. He goes, no, the airplane. The airplane goes the airplane go anywhere you want to go, the airplane go. And the third guy says, no, the greatest invention of all time is the thermos. Guy goes, the thermos? Why the thermos? He goes, because it keeps things hot and it keeps things cold. And he goes, so what's so great about that? He goes, yeah, but how does it know?
I'm sorry, it's stupid, but okay.
Yeah. It's a good joke, but that's his favorite joke of what was his favorite joke.
That's pretty crazy. So talking about Batman, you were like in the most controversial Batman that I think has ever been. Michael Keaton, not exactly the go-to to be Batman.
It's funny you say that because people don't remember that. They don't, generations don't remember that. Well, you had to be there for that. When they announced Michael Keaton as Batman, the shit that hit the fan, because Michael Keaton had just done Mr. Mom, and and Night Shift, and they're saying Batman. They were. Now, what they don't know is it was all Tim Burton. Tim Burton had worked with Michael on Beetlejuice beforehand, and I knew Michael because Michael was a stand-up comic. So I knew Michael, and I knew Michael was a good actor, and he had a dark side. If you want to see a great picture, I've never seen it played. There's a movie he did called Clean and Sober before he did Batman.
I love that.
He plays a cocaine addict. And he's really good in it. He's super good in it. So I knew Michael was fine. But remember, Batman's success is I shouldn't say all. 85% Tim Burton. It's Tim Burton. Because somebody else, the producers wanted to go more in the Joel Schumacher Batman version. They were of the campy version. And Tim wouldn't have any of that. I did not like the Batman TV series. It was much too campy for me. So I once asked the producers, I wasn't sure if it was Goober or Peters, if you didn't get Michael Keaton, who did you want? You know who they wanted to cast? Chevy Chase.
What?
Yeah. They were going in that Bill Murray, Chevy Chase. They were. It's Tim Burton, man. It's all Tim Burton.
I can't even begin to imagine that.
No, but most people back then couldn't imagine Michael Keaton, but Tim Burton. It's all Tim Burton. His genius. Now there were other great contributors. The set design by Anton Furst, who killed himself. He won the Oscar, and then he killed himself. Going to Gotham City at Pinewood Studios every day was pretty cool.
Wow.
And then, it worked. The movie and Jack, they had the Nicholson, and it worked.
What was that like? What was it like working with Jack?
The greatest. Nicholson's the greatest. I was with him at a party. A girl comes up to him one side and goes, "You want to dance?" And he went, "Wrong verb."
Well, you've also worked with DeNiro. What was that like?
Great. He gave me the part. It was Tribeca's first film, Mistress. And I was playing a young writer-director. Barry Primus was the writer-director, and basically I'm playing Barry. And he was playing this would-be auteur. And Barry took a chance on me. DeNiro took a chance on me. And that cast, every day, that's where I learned. That's the best performance, best work as an actor I ever did by far. Mistress. Every day I would go to work, and Martin Landau was he's the co-star with. So I had Martin Landau every day. And then it's stories about a guy this young guy who now is forced to making videos, instructional videos, but this old-timey producer, Martin Landau, thinks he can get money to make this independent film of his. But the three money guys all want their mistress to play the lead in the movie. So the three investors were Eli Wallach, Danny Aiello, and Robert De Niro. The three women were a girl named Tuesday Knight is her name, believe it or not. And it's Cheryl Lee Ralph and Jean Smart. Laurie Metcalf played my wife. Christopher Walken played, my flashback actor. So I'm going to work every day with really good, great people. And I got into the Academy because DeNiro and Landau signed my entry card, to try to get into the Academy, and it worked.
I have not seen that film. I've got to see if I can find that film. That sounds amazing.
It's a very dark movie. It's funny. It's dark. It's the one that most film students come up to me about because because that's their life. That's going to be their life. Of course, this is so changed. It's so changed. So anyway, hey, I gotta go.
All right, before we go, there's two things. Arliss, the Academy Awards. The Academy Awards and Arliss. I mean, two huge things in your career. So how did the Academy Awards, for those of you who don't know, Robert wrote the 2 Academy Awards with Billy Crystal that were the iconic ones. How did that happen? How did you get that gig?
Another good story. What happened, how I got the gig. Now, I knew Billy's manager, David Steinberg and Larry Bresman, them very well. I don't know if I'd met Billy before him, but I might. But what happened was, again, this is during the down period. I wasn't doing much, but I shared a manager with Carl Reiner. So Carl's wife, Estelle, was a cabaret singer, and she had an act. And she was going to perform in one of the clubs, I think maybe the Gardenia Room or something like that, here in LA. And Carl was looking for an opening act. He wanted a young comic for an opening act. So George Shapiro.
George was your manager?
Yeah, George and Howard Shapiro West, yeah. So George gave Carl my, tape. Carl liked it. He said, okay, now I got to tell you, at this point in my life, opening for Estelle Reiner, who I'm guessing she was a woman of a certain age at that point.
Yeah.
And, this was not a career move that I really thought, this is it. But I did it because out of respect for Carl Reiner, who was one of my idols. And then the first night happens. And I didn't take into account who the audience was going to be. Sorry, I'm getting a kickback here. Here we go. I get out there, and in this place only sat about maybe 100, probably less. But in the first row, it's Mel Brooks, Anne Bancroft, Jamie Lee Curtis, Chris Skinner, Billy and Janice Crystal. It's like their whole crowd is there. I mean, it's like, holy shit. And I did well. I get a call a couple of weeks later from David Steinberg and saying, Robert, Billy's going to host the Grammys. They've asked him to host the Grammys. Would you want to write it with him? I said, hell yeah. So that's what we started. We did that for 2 or 3 years, and then he got the call to do the Oscars. And then we just went ahead and did the Oscars. Now, the interesting thing is, for all those times, up until maybe the second or third year we did the Oscars, it was just me and Billy. There were no other writers. Nowadays, you look at the writing staff for one of these Academy Awards, there's 30 writers, and they can't come up with 10 good jokes. It was me and Billy, and then Drew Lance joined us, and Mark Shaman was with us for the musical pieces. But that was it.
Wow.
That was it.
Wow. So you guys, he's running back there in between, and you guys are, and you're.
Well, he's got his monologue prepared. We're pretty prepared.
Right.
And plus you got Billy Crystal. And so, so that's pretty great. But you get lucky because we get Jack Palance. And Jack Palance starts doing one-arm push-ups on the stage after winning the Oscar. And so we had, we're backstage, how about Billy and Bruce said, hey, how about Jack, the bungee jumping, it just become a big thing. And he goes, how about Jack Palance just jumped off the Hollywood sign? I go, no, he bungee jumped off the Hollywood sign. And it did, it just exploded. So, and then after the show was over, I said, that was a pretty good show. We wound up winning the Emmy. That's how that happened. Arliss was something else. Arliss came because Mike Tolan came to me from HBO. Well, Mike Tolan, the producer, had wanted to do an idea of the Spinal Tap of sports. He had pitched it to HBO. HBO knew I had a relationship with him. Chris Albrecht. No, Chris was not in charge yet. But I had a relationship with him. I'd done the Young Comedian show. I had written some other shows. And they said, so you can get Robert involved. So they pitched me the show. And I said, I've seen this. Spinal Tap of this, Spinal Tap of that. I go, what I'd like to do is I'd like to write a mini series about as told through the eyes of a very self-serving sports agent. I said, sports agents was not in the public vernacular. This is before Jerry Maguire.
I was just asked.
So, and then it became a series because with the business model had to be a series. And after writing about 5 drafts, they finally let it go. And then we got on the air, and we still on for 7 seasons. And it was the greatest thing because I could write about any story. It's funny now. It's now on HBO Max, and people forget. When I talk to people, they go, "I had no idea that you had gotten to that many social issues," because I did stories about domestic abuse, about transgender athletes, about gay athletes, about alcohol, about Alzheimer's. Ed Asner playing Alzheimer's announcer. I did unwanted pregnancies. So I had no problem. I would balance the comedy, and this is as the season went along, as the series went along. We did 80 episodes, so it really started happening about season 2 or 3. So, and everybody said, "Boy, you were way ahead of your time here." And I go, "Yeah, well, I tell you what, I'd rather be of my time and have Seinfeld money." But honest, and of course, I had, and when I look at them now, and they hold up pretty damn well. I had not seen them, but there was a podcast in New York called the George Lucas Talk Show, and they would in real time do a season of Arliss every Sunday, and they asked me to come on, so I had to rewatch the episodes. And I had this, and of course, I had a pretty good cast. I had Jim Turner, Michael Boatman, who's great, and as my girl Friday, I cast somebody that no one ever heard of by the name of Sandra Oh. So so that was, and then she wasn't everybody's first choice. She was my choice. I said because the other girl, I tell you a story. It was between her and Lauren Graham, and so I could not lose.
Right.
Great. I just felt a couple of reasons. One is I thought, let's go against the traditional. 2 is, and this is and everybody knows me, I was dealing with a sports agent clientele. So I was going to have athletes all over the world. And I said, I want diversity. I want a lot of diversity on the show because he represents all these people. So that played a part in it. And then the first year, like in any series, you're finding your legs, what people can do, what people can't do. And the more I realize as the show goes on, what I've got. So I kept giving her more and more. And then we're paired with Sex and the City. And so I was losing, when we first went on, we were like 70% male or 75% male watching the show. And so that's not going to cut it following Sex and the City. And I knew my conduit to hanging on to the audience was Sandra. So I geared more to the show to that. You'd be stupid not to do that. So more and more. And then I remember Fran Lebowitz coming up to me and saying, "I hate sports, but I love your show." But that was great because I could tell any story I wanted to tell. Any story I wanted to tell about no means no, or, whatever it was, I could tell it. And also, HBO, I had total freedom, and they weren't aligned with any sports league. They didn't have the baseball or football, so the leagues couldn't say, "Hey, we can't do this. We're going to hurt you. We're not going to re-sign with you." They couldn't do it because they didn't have anything. The only thing they had was Wimbledon back then.
So, Robert, is there anything? All right, you're writing your stories down, which I love, and I hope there is going to be a book because you have a gazillion more stories. Is there anything that calls to you still that you'd like to do?
Oh, I still love directing a lot. And I love being in the editing room a lot. I've always liked working with good people. I always joke that I stand next to somebody good in the movie. I would stand next to Costner or Robin Williams or or Susan Sarandon or Jack Nicholson. Stand next to some Paul Newman. So. But I like that. But the business has changed so much. And there's not so much question of business change, which it has, but the demographic is in the movie business is so young. It's so young. And, point of view, ambiguity, at least in the movies, unless it's some independent film, which is great. I love independent films. But that plays to another crowd too. That plays to a very specific crowd.
Have you had things get passed on because they were young people looking at it who didn't kind of get what was going on?
I'm sure I have. Nothing's jumping out at me, but yeah, of course. I mean, but everybody has. There's the very famous, and that's, by the way, that's always been the case. And that's from time. I believe most things in life are generational. So that's always. There's a very famous story of the great director Fred Zinnemann, who directed everything from High Noon, Man for All Seasons, From Here to Eternity, Julia. I mean, one of the all-time great directors. And he goes into a meeting, some young executive's office. And the executive says, I'm not familiar with your work. Tell me some of your credits. And Zinnemann said, you first.
Wow, that's great. Yeah. That's pretty great.
But that's always happened because of the demographic, and also the demographic is so. And first of all, they cost a lot of money. Movies cost a whole lot of money. Streaming is going to be less. I mean, but movies cost, so you have to make it back. And who goes to the movies? Kids, young people.
Okay, so does that interest you? Does it interest you to write something that would stream like a 10-part something like that?
That's just a delivery service. Yeah, you write what yeah, for sure. Anything. But it's funny. So, I did fairly well in this business, and I just if something happens, great. If not, I'm very happy to do. Like I said, I didn't have a bad time during COVID. I'm not having a bad time now.
Well, but you're not getting to go to Paris and have hot chocolate at Angelina's, which I
am not. We didn't get to go last year. We won't be able to go for other reasons this year. But next year, I'm going to have a big platinum jubilee party. Last time I went, we usually take about a crowd of about 10 people with me. So I'll have the new dogs. I have my new dogs now. So.
And you were going to tell us about your new dogs. So I can't remember what their names are, but they're cute.
Riley and Rosie.
Riley and Rosie. You're going to show us Riley and Rosie? You're going to give us a little.
I don't know if you can see other people. I hate this stuff. Let me see. Can you see this on there?
Yes. Yes.
Hold on.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Who's Riley and who's Rosie?
Riley is the brown and white one.
Rosie's, of course,
because Rosie's the girl. Now, by the way, and the reason we called him Riley is because being a dog in my house is a really good gig because we don't have kids. So, I mean, this is my last two dogs. I don't know if you can check out where we are here.
I'm having a hard time telling.
Oh, I'm sorry. You can't see.
No.
You can't see what that is?
Oh, it's the Eiffel Tower.
Yeah, they went 8 times.
Wow.
They went to Paris 8 times with us. Like you said, this dog's going to have the life of Riley. So
wow.
My mother used to say, I want to come back as a dog in your house. So these dogs, knock wood, are in for, well, it won't be for a while now, but it'll be, by next year. Yeah.
Wonderful. Robert, thank you so much for doing this again. It's always so fun to hang out with you. Your stories are fabulous. I hope you do write that memoir because you got the goods. Thank you so much.
Okay, you're very welcome. Bye-bye.
See you soon, I hope. Bye-bye.